Hi everyone in English 1301, it's Dr. E and I'm here with your week 14 instructional video. So the first thing I want to note is that there's an announcement here about a system-wide update, just something that you should be aware of down the road. It's going to happen Saturday the 6th of December and will last until Sunday noon on the 7th. This usually ends up taking longer. So look ahead at your syllabi, see if you have items that are due. I wouldn't worry too much about our class. It's really for your other classes, especially because it's close to finals and things are happening. So just make sure that you're aware and take a look at the information I've shared here if you have any questions. All right, let's go ahead and jump into what we're doing this week. It is a holiday week, but it's a partial holiday week, right? So we, unlike most school districts, don't get the full week off. It is Wednesday through Sunday are considered the official holiday, which still doesn't necessarily count for online courses, but I've limited the schedule just to account for some of these things. So you're watching the video, but you do have your food journal collection that's due on Sunday. Although it will have the 48-hour grace period, and some of you will definitely want to take advantage of that just with taking your time with revisions, edits, making tutoring appointments, viewing my feedback. I have about half of the feedback ready to go and post. It's the other half that will take me some time. Again, I'm running into the same situation with the food journals as I was with the mind maps, and that is I'm assuming issues of AI. I'm not sure. Usually when there are quotes included that actually don't exist, that is an AI issue. Though, again, it's one of those things where, yes, we're not supposed to do that. It's not considered academic honesty, that kind of thing. But I know that it happens. And I know that it usually is a result of stress and feelings of being overwhelmed and whatnot. But again, it's just, these are not assignments that are meant to cause that level of stress and anxiety. I'm really wanting you to write, what you know, what you've experienced. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm really looking for the process and your ideas, and I want those ideas to shine through. AI does not know how to quote. AI does not know how to quote accurately. AI will just create non-existent quotes, which is still considered plagiarism because you are misquoting, folks that you are referencing. Anyhow, I don't want to get too into it. This is just an explanation of it taking me so much longer to post some of these grades than it usually does, because I have to go in and double check all the quotes, because anyhow, it doesn't matter. So some of the feedback won't be available until the end of the day on Tuesday. So just make sure you're looking for, you will know your feedback is ready to view when you see a grade for the Food Journal 3 assignment. You want to view the feedback in order to make any revisions, look at any suggestions I have. Sometimes I will reword something for you, or sometimes I will offer a suggestion and say, hey, I think this sentence might be better here, or this paragraph might be better before the most recent paragraph. And so sometimes it's just an organizational thing. It just depends, but you will always see feedback. So if you open your document after receiving a grade and turn it in and you don't see any blue text, then look harder. Make sure that all the items are selected. That will help you view that. And so if you have questions about how to do that, there's a link here to instructions for viewing your feedback and turn it in. Okay, so that's due Sunday with the extension, the grace period, and then bonus credit. Any bonus credit that you'd like to complete is due. I've left in the item for next week, just so that you're planning ahead. The multimedia project is due next week. That's why you completed your plan. I will also be working on providing feedback for those. The ones I'm seeing so far are definitely headed in the right direction. The only issues I'm seeing are, folks did not complete a draft of the paragraph that was required in the plan as part of the grade, or you've included maybe some vague details. So you'll say, well, I want to complete a PowerPoint. I want to do it over Finley's work. And that's great, but what's in the PowerPoint? Like, what is the goal of this work? So I may have questions like that. But again, a majority of what I'm seeing is, you've thought through it, you've planned through it, and you have an idea that definitely aligns with the guidelines of the assignment, which is great. All right, scrolling down, you're watching what will appear here. This is a reminder to review my feedback when it's available. Again, you'll know it's available when you see your grade. Review all the guidelines. These are empty folders too, so if you click on it, it's not going to take you anywhere. That's the only way to kind of offer a reminder in this in a module in D2L. Don't ask. I don't know. Anyhow, Lord. Okay, so let's go back to the overall module. And you can review the guidelines and the assignments and everything in the syllabus, schedule, and rubrics module. Instructions on how to view the feedback, and then we get to the food journal collection, and this is pretty straightforward. It's just, I've put a note here that before you submit this, you need to watch this video, and I'll put a link to the video in there once I'm done. And then we have the instructional video for the assignment, the collection guidelines, and the template. Please use the template if you haven't already. And then you have the prompts from previously, so you can double check that you have everything included that is required. So the reason I want you to watch this video beforehand is because I have a few kind of ideas, updates, reminders based on what I'm seeing in terms of the previous journal submissions. So I have collected my ideas and creating and thinking about your revisions based on some of this feedback will just be really helpful. It's the things that I'm seeing repeatedly, so that's why I want to address them for everybody here. Okay, the first thing, and this is in no particular order, this is just, as I was grading, was making notes. I want you to think about your use of the second person, or you. We really, in academic writing, want to avoid using it altogether, because when we are writing for our audience, we are not speaking directly to them, we are presenting our ideas, right? And you can be seen as a little too conversational. You're not having that conversation with your audience. Again, you're presenting to them. So it's also, I find, kind of something that we lean on in our writing, right? So we often are writing the way that we speak, and this becomes a habit, right? The you becomes a habit addressing our audience. So I understand, right? It's one of those things where I would always just encourage folks, get your ideas out, write them. If you comes out in the writing, that's great, that's fine. Go back in revisions and change it, right? You can generalize to avoid you. You can change to yourself, right? This is supposed to be a piece of writing that is about yourself. So instead of saying, you would love this meal if you tried it. No, how about, I love this meal because, right? So switch the narrative to make sure that it's about yourself, not about you in terms of the audience. Y'all's writing, it's just constantly making me hungry as well. So this is great because you are putting in the detail, you are describing your meals in enough detail that it really helps me as one of your audience members understand what's included, especially if they are meals that I'm not super familiar with. So that is great. You're doing your job when I'm hungry, right? And I want you to definitely go back in the revision process and see where you can push for a bit more, right? I am noting this where I can, but my feedback is not going to be exhaustive. I'm not going to mark up every single little thing that I see. Number one, because it's not helpful. It's not helpful for you to look at the feedback and be so overwhelmed by all the things that you feel as though you did not do correctly. It's also just not necessary, right? Part of this is you going back in and seeing where you can push for more ideas and where you can make some updates and edits on your own. This is something that I've mentioned before, but I'm still seeing this in the Food Journal 3. I need you to start your paragraphs with you. I don't want you to start paragraphs with Finley. I don't want you to start paragraphs with Cass, any of the research that we're using. And this is because every topic sentence should somehow relate to your overall topic, which is you and food. Okay, you are bringing in that research to support your ideas, so those should not be in the topic sentences. In a perfect world, you could take those topic sentences and pick them out of each paragraph, put them together, and you would have a really cohesive, strongly organized paragraph about your paper. It's essentially an abstract, what we in the academic world with academic journals use as our abstracts, because it's a quick summary, right? When I'm writing this probably more than anything else in the feedback, is that when you go to revise, focus on your topic sentences and make sure that they are about you and food, right? That's all I'm going to say right now. Push your ideas. If I write this in your notes, it's just there may not be enough detail in the paragraph, or there may not be enough detail to ensure that your audience is following your ideas and you are effectively communicating your ideas. So the way to push it is just add because. Just add a because at the end of the sentence, because that is going to force you, right? And envision your audience. Envision your audience not maybe following all of your ideas, right? This is a very general audience. I'm a member, so help them understand. Yeah, I'm coming back to the topic sentences. So I really want you to view them as a way to give directions to your audience, right? So you're using Google Maps and it's telling you how far ahead to drive, where to turn, where your end result is. That's what your topic sentences are. They're those step-by-step instructions, essentially, or the step-by-step details for your audience to follow, and they will help ensure that you are organized. If you have a topic sentence that doesn't align with the overall topic of you and food, it means your ideas are moving off the path, right? You're going the wrong way. Whew, formatting. Along with topic sentences, this is the thing that I'm referencing the most. It's the first impression. So spell names correctly, whether those names are is my name or it is one of our sources like Finley. It's not Finley, it's Finley, right? The formatting is the first thing I see when I open your work. So I can look and immediately see if you've used the template or if you have created out of thin air some sort of formatting that I am not familiar with. So using the template really helps with that. If you're not going to use the template, then just make sure that you've matched all the guidelines. You're double spacing everything. If you've used Microsoft Word, it does all kinds of funky stuff with spacing, so you have to go in and manually change it. There are no spaces between paragraphs. Make sure you're indenting all your paragraphs. Like, there's no bold, there's no underline. Everything in MLA is super boring, right? You know you've done it right, not only if you've used the template, but if it looks pretty boring. Don't assume your audience understands the research, right? This is a quote that I'm seeing a lot. Food is the problem and food is the solution. So you're talking about something and then you say, just like Finley says, food is the problem and food is the solution. That's great, but you need to help your audience understand what Finley means in order to see how it connects directly with your ideas. So you need to introduce those ideas, properly credit them, and explain why these quotes and this research is important and connected to you, right? Don't assume your audience knows. Again, we're imagining kind of a general audience. They're not going to be overly familiar with Finley. They're not going to be, you have to explain, right? You also, for anything outside of common knowledge, is an MLA term. So anything that an average audience member wouldn't know, you have to cite. So if you're talking about the history of some dish that you are sharing and you say, well, it comes originally from Portugal but was brought over to Brazil and and the Spanish conquest or the Portuguese conquest and all this, not everybody knows the names, the dates, the history of this, so you have to actually cite a source for anything outside of what every common day person would know. And common knowledge is something like, even if people aren't Christian or Western, or they probably know that on December 25th, many people celebrate Christmas, right? That's something you don't need to cite because it's common knowledge, okay? Okay. Spell sources' names correctly. Assume your readers need some context. Do not start or end paragraphs with quotes because you should be starting with your own topic sentences. And where possible, avoid judgment regarding food. A lot of us are talking about healthy versus unhealthy, and that's okay, but let's be kind to ourselves, and let's come from a judgment-free zone about food. All right. Good luck. Let me know what you need. I know you've got this. I can't wait to see your finished product, and have a great week. Hope you take some time to rest and relax.